So problems in your Springboard book that are similar to problem number 7, like I worked up here, you can find those on page 373, and I wanted to talk to you for a minute about the steps that they have listed here, especially this one where they use the change of base. I also wanted to point out that if you pay attention that the math tip right here is reminding you that having a log with a base b of an exponential with the same base, so these two things have to match. If you have a log base b and then you have an exponent with that same base raised to the x, then those two things simplify out. Remember, we don't really like the word cancel, but they simplify out and reduce down to x. And the same thing. So in other words, if you this would be where you start off with an exponent and an exponential, and we're trying to get the x by itself, so we log both sides. That's what we would do. We would log both sides. This is what logging both sides looks like. And this right here is where we take a log and we make it become the exponent of that base b, and we want those two to simplify out, leaving us to x. So that is in your book on page 373, in case you forget how those simplify. So they've started working the problem here. They have an exponential. They cannot change it to a common base. They can't change 32 to a base 3, so they log both sides. You have to be sure and make the log be a base 3, because these two numbers right here, these two numbers must match in order to simplify out. So it says take the log base 3 of both sides. So we did log base 3 of 3 to the x, and we did log base 3 of 32. That simplifies out, leaving us just x. And now we're left to using a calculator to evaluate this. That's what I wanted to talk to you about. So depending on what kind of calculator you use, Desmos offers a scientific calculator, but the scientific calculator on Desmos, and this is what, when you pull it up, this is what it looks like, the main function here. You notice that there are no logs. So what you have to do is there's a little tabs up here for ABC that gets you literally the alphabet, and then there's this function tab, and when you press the function tab, you notice over here you've got your natural log and you've got your common log, but this scientific calculator does not have a way for you to enter log base 3, which is what we want. Over here it says we need to take log base 3 of 32, and that scientific calculator that Desmos offers does not have that option. Now the graphing one does. You know the graphing one does. You can see here I've already pulled it up. But where I found it was I went to functions, I went over to miscellaneous, and there it is. So if you're using Desmos, you can simply type in log base 3 of 32. Whoops. 32 needs to go in my parentheses. And the Desmos graphing calculator tells me it's 3.15. Now, remember, being able to do this on a calculator is reasonably new technology. So what we did before that is we used this thing called change of base formula, and we took this log base 3 of 32 and we changed it into two separate common logs. And you'll get the same answer if you take those common logs and divide them. So you put the common log of 3 on bottom, so it'd be log base 10 of 3 on bottom. Remember, put the base on the bottom, and then put log base 10 of 32 on top. And then you can use this scientific calculator. So if we were using the Desmos scientific calculator, we would do log of 32, and then we would say divided by, notice it just put it on top and bottom, made it a fraction for me, and then we would say log, or you could probably just type in log, and 3 on bottom. And notice it comes out to be the exact same thing. We got 3.1546 here. We got 3.1546 here. So we got the same thing. I did want to show you too that I emailed this to myself. I don't know if it came through or not. But I used to use my phone calculator. My phone calculator, and I have an iPhone. My phone calculator, oh, I haven't gotten it yet. My phone calculator only has log base 10 on it. So if I needed to use my phone calculator, I would still have to do this change of base right here. So it doesn't matter to me whether you use the Desmos graphing calculator that allows you to type in log base 3 of 32 to get approximately 3.155, or whether you have to do this change of base formula. But what you should do is pause the video and see if you can't work these problems out down here. And then I will work them out and you can compare your answers to my answers. So I worked all of these out. You can check your answers. I went ahead and did the change of base formula each time, although you'll see over here on the calculator screen when I typed in, let's see, there's line number 2 right here is where I typed in, line number 2 is where I typed in log base 6 of 12, and then line number 3 is where I typed in common log of 12 divided by the common log of 6. And you'll notice that in both answers I got 1.387. I rounded to the 3 decimal places like it told me in the directions, 3 decimal places. So all I did was write log base 6 in front of each side of the parentheses. All I did was write log base 5 in front of each side of the parentheses. All I did was write log base 4 in front of each number on both sides of the equal sign. Now, D right here is a little bit different because it's e to the x. So remember, the inverse operation for e is the natural log. So you would write the natural log, and understand the natural log has an automatic e there. We don't put it, but it's understood to be there. So on each one of these, just like these simplify out to leave you x, that simplified out to leave us x. The 5 and the log base 5 and 5 simplified out. The log base 6 and 6 simplified out. So the natural log and the e simplify out, leaving you x. And most calculators do have a natural log button. However, you can still do the change of base with this. This would be the natural log of 91 divided by the natural log of e. And if you noticed on my calculator, did I show that far down? If I scroll down, you can see that on my calculator. I did the natural log of 91, and it came out to be 4.511. So I would write x is about 4.511. And I got that by typing in either log 91, natural log of 91, or common log 91 divided by common log of e, because remember, that's a base e right there. So that's all the pretty straightforward, easy ones. We'll do the ones with the little bit more complicated ones. It's still on page 373. We'll do these in the next video.